Well, Aaron, it's taken you forever to really play 90 minutes. How have you felt, and what do you make of your first sort of two games with City?
That's been it's been a relief just to get back on the pitch for a start. I think that was my first sort of emotion about it. Just happy to be on the pitch and playing again. And yeah, it's a competitive league, and the games so far have sort of showed that. The two games that we played, I mean, the two games that I've featured in anyway have been against two of the top sides. So the nature of those games maybe were a little bit more frantic at times than some of the others that I've maybe watched. No, it's certainly a test, and it's a test not just because of the standard and the quality of the teams we played against, but obviously the fact that I haven't played a lot of football lately, and it's that side of it's a challenge as well, and one that I'm progressing with, I guess.
You looked, fair to say, pretty rusty in that first game, particularly the opening half hour when the team got battered. I mean, how hard is it, even for someone with your experience and a great long pedigree at the top level, when you're out of football for as long as you are, to just come back?
It's difficult. Any sort of player will tell you that the difference between training and playing, it's not. There's nothing really apart from games to get match fitness. It's almost a cliche. It's well known throughout football. You can train as much as you want and do everything you can, and that really just gives you a good base then to go into the game. So once you sort of step over the line, it's just that that extra few percent, and you have to just give yourself a good chance to at least to be able to cope with it. So I think anyone that sort of hasn't played a lot of football would probably be saying the same thing. So it's nothing that I was overly concerned about. That'll come with time and with minutes on the pitch and things, I guess.
Can you just tell us a bit about the backstory as to how you got here, and what was the process? Did your agent approach Melbourne City or Brian Marvel? Did they get in touch with you?
At the end of last season, in the off season, after the internationals, I was back home basically just sort of considering sort of options as such, and my agent just gave me a call and said, I've got this option here, would you be interested in it? It was something that I was very, very keen on doing, so that was pretty much it. I don't know really what else went on behind the scenes as such. I just, apart from the phone call that I got, and pretty much said, yeah, definitely if it's an opportunity to come here, I'd love to do it, and it progressed from there.
You didn't have to think twice about it?
No, it was something that I was keen on doing. I was sort of at a stage where I was looking for something new and something fresh, and obviously being in England my whole life, that sort of appealed to me to go away and try a different league and new experience and different surroundings and things, and I think it was a good time to do it, just from where I was at back home. So I had no hesitation at all. That's what I mean. That's why when the call came in, I sort of just more or less said yes, definitely, and then let the powers that be sort the rest out.
Aaron, the game against the Wanderers on Saturday, did that remind you at all about the pace back in England? It was quite a fast game.
It's the pace. It can be back home. Can be like that at times. And it was. I think even the first game against Sydney, that you spoke about the first half an hour. It's probably was. It wasn't the easiest introduction, I guess, neither, which made it harder. But it can be like that. It can be very frantic, very, very sort of, we attack, turn the ball over there, same again, back and forwards. I think back home sometimes it's a little bit more controlled in that teams will let you have it, but then when they pick their moments to press and go, they really go, and you've got to be able to withstand it. But yeah, I think no matter sort of where you play, if you're playing in the top league or the best league in that particular country, the standard and the fitness is always going to be high, so you're always going to have a fast-paced game.
At the start of the season, before the ball was kicked, John Van Schip talked about changing the mentality at his club. Now, you weren't here, but they were notoriously flaky. They might win 4 games and then lose 6. that sort of that kind of thing. And the reason he said he brought people like you and Thomas Sorensen was to actually shore up that mentality in the dressing room. Do you feel that's a big part of your job here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way, I suppose that's, in a way, that's what experience is, I guess, sort of being in situations and knowing how to deal with it and knowing how to, when things are going well, not to get sort of too over the top, but equally when things aren't going as well, not to panic and not to get too down and, sort of keep an even keel and work through it. And it's, sometimes football can be very reactive, like I said, you can be very up when you win and very down when you lose. And I think it's focusing on the day-to-day things that you do in training, the things that sort of, the basics that if you do well and, you work to good standards every day, then you'll win your fair share of games. And the games that you lose, you'll lose because on that day the other team were better, not because your mentality or something was bad. So it's sort of, it's understanding that work ethic, that what you do, it's, it's not just a game. You don't just go out on a Saturday and run around and that's your week's work. You work from Sunday or your first day after the game, the recovery, how you recover, how you look after yourself through the week, your quality and training through the week, everything that builds up and leads you into the game on Saturday and best prepares you for Saturday. And I think that sort of, it's sort of ingrained from a young age when you're back home. It's because you've got no other option. It's what you have to do. If you want to be a footballer, you can't sort of take shortcuts. So it's sort of, it's maybe bringing that experience and mentality here to sort of help the process here, and then that just really, hopefully raises the standards and all the little things that maybe get overlooked just through inexperience, but the little things that make big differences, and generally, and you get better habits and better standards, and ultimately a better culture, and maybe that's sort of what you're talking about.
What's the mood like around the place? Because you had a fairly shaky start to the season, and then a couple of bad losses, the Newcastle home loss and the West Sydney Wanderers home loss, but you've been in really quite scintillating form since then. I'm guessing that there's a real mood of confidence in and around the joint?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been confidence. The lads here, they're good lads, and they work hard and they've got good quality. And there's always been a confidence that we can get results as long as we do things the right way, and the things that we work on in training and things that we highlight that we feel will get us good results. We continue to work on those. We're confident we can get something. But it's sort of touching on what I just said before. It's when you sort of go through those little spells where a little sticky spell. It's not panicking, and it's not sort of getting down about it and worrying about it and panicking and starting to do wrong things or trying things that that you wouldn't normally do. It's about trusting the work that you do through the week, trusting the beliefs that we have here and what we think will get results, and just having that mentality, thinking it's the season's not won and lost in one game 3 weeks ago. It's a long season and there's a long way to go, so as long as we keep improving every game, that's sort of a better goal, and if we do that, then we give ourselves better chances come the end of the season of being up there.
The game this week, Aaron, has this been the longest you've travelled for a domestic game in your career?
Definitely. I mean, even travelling to Brisbane's probably the longest I've been for a domestic game. Fly anyway. Obviously, in England sometimes, if it's not too far, you take the bus, but then you get stuck in a traffic jam for 4 hours. But it's maybe not quite the distance. I mean, it's a long way. And everyone said it's a bit of a tougher journey just because of the time difference stuff and the heat. But it's part of the experience. It's part of what I said, the way I came here to try new things and challenge myself in new ways. And it's maybe one of the things that, or a good example of that.
Do you, I mean, a lot of players who come from overseas here say they are actually surprised at the league when they play it, that it's a lot more physical than maybe they expected, and also that some of the players are technically a lot better than they'd imagined. I suppose Australia has still got a bit of a reputation as a football backwater, hasn't it? Is that your experience as well?
No, I mean, when I speaking to, I mean, obviously I knew Damien from last year, and he'd spoke highly of it.
Yeah.
You know, he'd said that the quality was good, and you know, you have to be fit to compete in this league and you know, stand a chance. So I sort of knew coming here that, you know, I wasn't under any illusion. I wasn't sort of thinking you come here and it's an easy one and, you know, stroll around. I knew it was going to be tough, and that was, again, going back to one of the questions you asked before about the national team. It was one of the reasons, again, why it appealed to me, because, you know, there's maybe a few places around the world you could go for a new experience, but it might not give you that level of competition to enable you to compete at the highest level. And it was one thing I knew, that if I was coming here, I'd still be competing at a high level, but also, you know, be able to get the physical side of it too. So that would help me then, obviously, in the international front.
It's a bit hard to ask you which is the best of the teams you play against here, because you only had these 2 games, but playing in those 2 and watching, you know, who do you see as City's biggest, sort of toughest challenges if you're going to finish top 2?
From watching the game, I mean, that's the thing with the league at the minute. It is just really competitive, and anything can happen. Like, you know, if you have a team that sort of goes on a little 3 or 4 game run, all of a sudden, you know, they're up there. They're up there with you. Likewise, you know, you lose a couple on the spin, and all of a sudden, you know, you're either falling away, or you're not pulling away from the others that maybe you had been. So I think you look at any of the sort of the top 5 or 6 at the minute, I think it's still all to play for. It's still, you know, we're only halfway through. There's still a lot of games to go and a lot of football to be played. And that's the other thing, obviously, too, with, you know, the league. That's new to me in the sense that you could win the league, but then, you know, you've got the grand final after that. So it's just about pacing ourselves, really, and making sure we hit form at the right time. That obviously we're in a good vein of form, but I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is maintaining that, and if we are going to have a little dip, make sure it's not at the wrong time. Make sure that we get back to our high standards and keep that going when we need it. And, you know, I think if we do that, then we'll have as good a chances as anyone, really, that's around us at the minute.